VSI was actually where A Drop in the Ocean kind of started to form. And so I have also partnered with VSI, and at least 1% of all sales through A Drop in the Ocean are donated to VSI already. And then we have other not random, but we have other days and periods of time where we donate more. So actually last week we were donating 15% of all sales to VSI in honor of World Oceans Week. So they're really, really important to me. I love them to death, and I'm really excited that we get to use this time to also give back to them. So before we dig into the presentation, you might be wondering, who am I and why am I in front of you today talking about this zero waste thing? So let's just get to know each other a little bit. So hello, I am Krystina Jarvis, and I am the owner and founder of A Drop in the Ocean, which is a zero waste and sustainable living boutique based in Tacoma. I have personally been living a zero waste lifestyle for about 3 years now. I first discovered zero waste in early 2017 when I happened upon a 3-minute BuzzFeed video of someone who was just trying to go zero waste for 30 days. Watching this video, I was completely hooked, and I immediately wanted to start incorporating these zero waste principles into my everyday life. And then less than a year later, I started creating some YouTube videos, sharing my experiences with living a zero waste lifestyle and sharing some tips that I had learned along the way. And then a few months later, I also started writing some blog posts. And then in December of 2018, I packed up my bags and I moved from Columbus, Ohio to right here in Tacoma with the sole intention of starting my own zero waste shop. And I wanted to be the resource that I wish that I had when I first started going zero waste. Because there's a lot of information, but there's not always the actual resources to help you do these things. So I wanted to be that resource. And then last February 2019, the online shop went live. And then crazy enough, like 9 months later, A Drop in the Ocean was awarded Most Innovative Business by South Sound Business Magazine, which was just amazing. And I'm so honored, and I'm just trying to continue to innovate and engage people in this lifestyle. And then what you don't see on this page is also that I have a bachelor's degree in wildlife science. And I have a background in the conservation field where I most notably built a plastic-free challenge from 193 participants the first year to 5,200 people in the second year. And then like I said, I recently completed my master's degree in conservation biology. And so wildlife and conservation has really just been my life since childhood. But it wasn't until zero waste that I started to understand that anybody can be a conservationist in their daily life. And you don't have to have a big budget. You don't have to travel the world. You really can, just starting in your own home and in your own life, become a conservationist. And I love talking about all of this. And so I'm excited to dig in. So let's start just briefly with the 6 R's of zero waste. And these are the guiding principles that kind of outline what zero waste is and how we approach it. So the 6 R's are on an inverse pyramid, and they are rethink, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. So very quickly, we'll go through some of these. So rethink is just being aware of our daily habits and our actions, and wondering and questioning, why am I doing it this way? Why is this being done this way in the world around me? Can it be done differently? Can it be done better? And just starting to notice these things, because so often we're just on autopilot and we have our habits and we don't really notice them. So that's step 1, is just noticing and questioning. Next is refuse, simply just refusing extra things that you don't need in your daily life. So maybe you go to a conference and they want to give you a swag bag, getting comfortable saying, no, thanks, I don't need that today. Or when you go out to eat at a restaurant, I'd like a water with no straw, please. Just kind of getting in the habit of saying no and kindly refusing the things that you don't need before they make their way into your life. And then we have reduce, which is just reducing the amount of things that you bring into your life. And the psychology behind this is pretty interesting, because it actually shows that if you bring less into your home and you have less things in your home and you value those things, then you actually, like, your brain no longer wants to bring in as much stuff into your life. And just by having less stuff, we're going to create less waste, simply just by omission. And then we have reuse, and that's just like it sounds, reusing what you already have. So, you know, maybe if you're going out to eat and you know where you're going only has plastic forks, for example, you know, grab a fork out of your kitchen, take it with you. Or a reusable water bottle, reusable grocery bags. You know, some of these things are a little difficult right now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. But things to think about as we slowly transition back into normal. I don't think we're ever going to go back to normal, but trying to get back to these sustainable habits. And then finally, we have recycle and rot, or compost. And these are at the bottom of the list because they should be used as a last resort. We should really be focusing on the rethink, refuse, reduce, reuse before we get to recycling and compost. And then, of course, at the very bottom of this that's not on there would be trash. So this is the framework for everything that we're going to talk about today. So the first myth that I want to talk about is that zero waste means I cannot produce any trash. That's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the phrase zero waste, because the term itself is really misleading. And I wish that there was another term, but that's the word that is used right now. So it's important to know that zero waste is not actually possible in our current economy. We live in a linear economy, which basically means that resources are extracted, materials are created, and then waste is thrown away. So the zero waste movement aims to move us into a circular economy where products are designed with their end life in mind. So then resources are continually used again and again and not really going to landfill at the end of their life. Trash is a design flaw, and zero waste is aiming to fix that flaw. And you may or may not be familiar with the term trash jar, but these are literally mason jars of trash that really popularized the zero waste movement. A lot of the zero waste influencers that you would see on social media or online, really just, they like to show their 16-ounce mason jar with all of the trash that they've produced in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, some of them like 7 years now. And those have kind of fallen off a little bit in the last few years, but they are still prevalent. But the thing is, waste comes in a lot of different forms. Wasted time, wasted energy, wasted resources. It's not just about trash. And so what the trash jars don't show is, for example, how many times a light was left on, or a car was idling, or even how much recycling or compost was created. For every pound of trash that we create as individuals, there's actually 7 pounds of trash that's created upstream, meaning along the supply chain. So 7 pounds of trash already happened before any product actually gets to us. And we didn't create that waste. We're not throwing it away. So that wouldn't appear in a trash jar. So that also kind of goes back to that refusing and reducing, because by getting rid of that 1 pound of trash that we have, it's actually eliminating 7 pounds of trash upstream as well. So we can't not create waste, but we can reduce it, and we can reduce it a lot, a little bit at a time. Next myth. Zero waste leads to a diminished quality of life because everything is old and used. This one is so far from the truth. My quality of life has actually increased tremendously since I started going zero waste. And also, who says that used is bad? This couch that I'm sitting on and my desk over here, I got from the Facebook Marketplace when I moved into my new apartment. They're in perfect condition and they're exactly the styles that I wanted. And I spent $270 on a couch and a desk. So they're great. So used is not bad. And zero waste, like I kind of mentioned before, zero waste means that I take pride and value in what I do own. So I care for them, and I expect each item to last me for. And one of my favorite quotes from a fellow zero waster is, our trash tells a story about what we value. So the question that I like to pose to people is, do you value the IKEA couch that you bought out of convenience, or the couch that you spent weeks searching for in the Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and resale shops until you finally found that perfect one, and you met the person that was selling that couch, who's moving on to the next chapter in their life, and they're grateful that their couch is going to a loving home, and they're grateful for the extra funds in their pocket to help them move on to that next chapter. You know, IKEA's great, but do you really have that value in there? And this actually happened with my desk. I found the desk on the Facebook Marketplace. It was a standing desk, wood, that I was exactly what I wanted. And the girl that sold it to me was so happy that it was going to someone that was so excited about it, because her boyfriend actually made the desk. And so hearing that firsthand story, and somebody being so grateful that you're going to care for that item, and it helps an actual person in the process, it's amazing. I love it. It gives me, all the happy feelings, just thinking about that. So zero waste does not mean that everything has to be old and used and dirty. It doesn't mean a diminished quality of life. It really can make life more beautiful, honestly. Next myth: zero waste is inconvenient. So I'm going to level with you a little bit. There are some times when zero waste can actually be more inconvenient than the alternative. That's kind of how we got into this mess. And that's especially true in the beginning, but it's a skill and a habit, just like anything else, that takes time to grow and develop. And as you do, you really start to gain confidence in it, and it just becomes second nature. But there are some things that really do make life easier from the beginning. So for example, dryer balls. So I have dryer balls, and they are literally just a ball of wool that's like super dense. And you put a set of them in your dryer with your laundry, and they replace dryer sheets and fabric softener. And they also help to reduce your drying time. So you buy them once, they last for years and years and years. And if you don't have to share a dryer, then you can just leave them in your dryer. You don't have to worry about losing them or your dog getting a hold of them, and you never have to buy dryer sheets again. So that's one of my favorite, just like one-time swaps, gonna last you a long time. Grocery shopping is another thing that can be kind of inconvenient at first when you're first getting the hang of all of this. Because it can seem like a lot of work to plan the trip ahead of time, make a list, get your reusable bags, your jars, whatever you might be taking, and then leave for the grocery store. But how much more time could we have in our day if we weren't going up and down every aisle wondering, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Or, how much more streamlined would your cooking process be if you knew exactly where each ingredient was in your kitchen, because you're only buying enough for what you need for those meals that you've already planned. And then you also didn't have to deal with a bunch of plastic wrapping in the process. It's really a full beginning to end. It can actually make things easier once you get in the habit of it. And then the other example I like to give is, what if you could walk into Target and actually walk out with only what you went into Target to buy? How much time would that save? How much money? How much waste? And it doesn't happen overnight. I don't go to Target very often anymore, but when I do, I always get so tempted by that dollar section. I don't know what it is about a Target dollar section, but it gets you. But I've gotten so much better about actually just continuing to walk by it, and I don't end up with $20 of dollar worth of things that I don't actually need. But it's a muscle that I've had to develop over the last 3 years. But it's nice to not have a bunch of just stuff around my apartment. And then our last myth is zero waste means more recycling. When I first started going zero waste, people would tell me all the time, "Oh, that's great. My recycling bin is also always overflowing." But we're in the middle of a recycling crisis. Historically, the United States has shipped about 70% of our recycling to China. And even if that were still the case, let's just think about what that actually means for a second. So that means that we were extracting resources from our earth, creating disposable products, spending time, money, and energy, loading those empty disposable products onto a ship, sailing that ship across the ocean, dumping it on another country to deal with and sort and break down. And then we're using more energy to break down and recycle just a portion of those materials and then ship them back across the globe again. That's what our recycling system was. Only about 9% of plastic has ever actually been recycled. Recycling makes us feel good. It's really kind of what it comes down to. So that's what recycling used to be. In 2018, China implemented what is referred to as the Green Sword. So they don't accept any recycling from any countries over a 1% contamination rate. And contamination can be, food left on something, or wet paper is contaminated. Just anything that's not like clean, dry, and what's the other one? There's like a bunch of campaigns going around in Tacoma right now. It's like clean, dry, something else. So anything over a 1% contamination rate, they're not accepting. For reference, the best contamination rates in the country fall around 3 to 5%. So China basically implemented an all-out ban on any recycling coming from overseas. And for about a minute, Indonesia, Malaysia, and a few other countries were starting to pick up some of the slack, but then they also implemented their own bans, because really, who wants to be the country that just accepts every other country's trash? So you can't blame them. But then that left us without our own infrastructure to deal with our own waste. And so many cities around the country just completely eliminated their recycling programs, and many more had to drastically change their guidelines. And Tacoma is now one of those cities. And so many times, we look at these changes and we say, man, it's so disappointing that my city doesn't accept XYZ items for recycling anymore. But how often do we actually look at the manufacturers and say, hey, I don't want you to make non-recyclable or single-use products anymore? If your sink was overflowing, you wouldn't first reach for a mop. You would turn off the faucet. And that's what we're aiming to do with zero waste. We want to turn off the faucet rather than reaching for the mop that is recycling. And then finally, on the recycling tangent, plastic can't actually be fully recycled anyway. For example, an aluminum can be recycled and back on a shelf in a grocery store as a new aluminum can in 60 days flat. But plastic can only be what's called downcycled. So a plastic butter tub, for example, can be downcycled into a park bench or a sweater. And if you're like me, you're like, oh, that's great. This park bench is made of plastic bottles. That's amazing. And it is, it keeps those plastics out of our landfills, but it doesn't actually slow the production of new virgin plastics. We're still actually increasing plastic production, even if recycling rates are increasing, because those plastics can't be recycled fully. So zero waste is actually about recycling less and not about recycling more. So you might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but I'm still really overwhelmed. Who's there? Raise your hand if you're kind of in that boat right now. Yeah. So let's dig into some of my top tips for making sustainability easier. So number one is conduct a waste audit, because it's really hard to know what we need to reduce if we don't actually know what trash we're creating. And this doesn't have to be difficult. I actually have a template for this, and if anybody wants it, I'm happy to share that with you. And what's really nice about this too is that you can really tailor your sustainability journey to what you need, rather than like a top 10 zero waste swaps list. You can see what you're actually using the most. So I'm going to briefly go through this. I'm happy to talk about it more, but I know that I'm talking a lot. So my waste audit template basically outlines, how long do you want to do your waste audit? A day, a week, a month. I typically recommend a week because it's enough time to show you your habits without going on for too long. Whereas a day, something might be a little bit skewed. And some people will just like collect all their trash for a week and then go through it at the end of the week and record that way. For me, that would be kind of gross depending on what you're throwing away in the week. So I typically recommend just recording it as you throw things away. Just keep a quick tally. So what this might look like is, in your kitchen, you threw away 6 paper towels, and in your bathroom, you threw away 7 strands of floss. And then at the end of the week, you can go through and see what things have the highest amount of tallies. And then maybe, okay, well, what might be an alternative for that? And then start to go from there. And maybe there isn't an alternative, or maybe you need to reach out to some friends or to me or whoever and see what might be available. But this is just a really great starting point. Next, just buying less. As we've talked about, just simply buying less. That simplifies a lot right there. And I want to share with you what's called the hierarchy of needs. I really don't know who created this, but I see it all over the place. And it's kind of the opposite of the 6 R's that's on an inverse pyramid. This is just on a regular pyramid. And so what you want to do the most of is just use already what you have. And then next would be borrow. If you don't have the thing, can you borrow it from someone? Tacoma actually has a tool library where you can basically rent out tools for free rather than having to buy, a lawnmower or a weed whacker like the people outside my apartment right now. Because do we all really need those big tools taking up room in our garages, or can we just borrow them from a neighbor or borrow them from a tool library? Saves resources, saves us time, saves us space. And then, swap with a friend if you can, or if you need to go out and buy the thing, try somewhere secondhand first, or make the item yourself. And then last resort would be buy new. And if you have to buy new, try to buy as sustainable as you can. Maybe buy something that's going to last you a long time rather than something that you're going to have to buy over and over again. Next would be just pick the low-hanging fruit. That lawn mower is quite loud. I am so sorry.
I can't hear it. I don't know if anyone else can. Don't worry.
Good, thank you. So next tip, pick the low-hanging fruit. So just the things that you only have to buy once, and then you're good for years and years. Things like the wool dryer balls that I mentioned, those are amazing. Buy them once, they last you for years. Mine are about 3 years old and they still look brand new. They've still got tons of life in them. A safety razor instead of a plastic razor. My all-time favorite swap that I have ever made in my zero waste journey is my stainless steel safety razor. Closest shave I've ever had, no razor burn. It's way cheaper than plastic razors, and it's gonna last me my entire life. Really amazing stuff. Beeswax wraps. I believe that at least some of you have probably made some beeswax wraps before in one of your other speaker series with Robin. Great swap to reduce saran wrap or aluminum foil in your kitchen. Buy it once and they're gonna last you a long time. Mine have not deteriorated yet, so a long time. And then reusable straws. If you like to drink out of straws, or you need to drink out of straws for some reason, there's glass, there's stainless steel, there's silicone, all sorts of different reusable straws. Buy it once, you're good to go. Next, just replace over time. So the only thing worse than a single-use product is a zero-use product. So it's really easy when you first start becoming aware of plastics and zero waste to look around your home and go, oh my gosh, there's plastic everywhere, I need to get rid of it all. But if you have something that's working for you and it's reusable, great, keep reusing it. If you have half a bottle of shampoo in your shower, use the rest of that shampoo, properly recycle the bottle, and then make a switch to a shampoo bar or or like a refillable shampoo or something like that. So just as things run out, then you can replace them with something that's more sustainable rather than trying to do it all at once. And then just a couple examples here, bamboo toothbrushes rather than plastic toothbrushes. This is a dish soap bar. So instead of a plastic bottle of dish soap, you can swap it out for a solid bar of dish soap. This is an all-purpose cleaning concentrate that I have. It's refillable, it comes in glass, and you just mix a ½ ounce of this with 16 ounces of water, and it's delightful. And then the shampoo bar, which I think I've mentioned a couple times now, which is amazing. I love my shampoo bar. Happy to talk about that more if anyone wants to talk about shampoo bars later. All right, next, just set it and forget it. If there's something that you know that you need on a regular basis, there's actually ways to just set up a system where you never have to worry about buying that thing again. And you can do this actually through my website as well. So let's say, for example, you go through laundry detergent every 2 months. On my website, you can see that you can order it once, or you can set up a subscription where once you set it up, every 2 months, that laundry detergent is showing up on your doorstep, and you literally never have to think about buying laundry detergent again. And you can do this with anything that you use over and over again, you know, shampoo, body wash, hand soap, laundry detergent, all of these things. You know, I mean, how much more mental energy would we have if we didn't worry about like, oh, I'm about to run out of laundry detergent. I have to get to the store. Oh, I have to do this. You know, it's just, oh, look, laundry detergent's at my doorstep. Great. So this is just kind of an example of what an order would look like if you did a bunch of subscriptions, but I don't know why I left that slide in here. Next one, phone, water, wallet, keys. Okay, say it with me. Phone, water, wallet, keys. Phone, water, wallet, keys. So most of us already, before we leave the house, say phone, wallet, keys. You know, even when somebody else leaves my house, I say, you got your phone, wallet, keys? Those are the 3 things that we all kind of need to go about our daily lives. But if we just add water into that, then it reminds us to bring a reusable water bottle with us, or some other type of water. So then, you know, we're not caught out getting hot in the sun and dying of thirst and need to buy a bottle of water or something. Phone, water, wallet, keys, if you just get in the habit of saying that. Next would be keep a kit. So if there's things that you use frequently when you're out and about, most notably would probably be like reusable shopping bags. Just keep them in your car. And then you always have them. They're always available when you're out and about. And then also get in the habit of bringing those things back to your car once you use them. So you've got your grocery bags in the car, you go into the grocery store, you use them, you bring your groceries inside. Don't just leave them inside, put them back in your car right away. So then you always have them with you and you're never caught unprepared. This is one of my favorite ones. Rather than taking, my lighting is like all funky right now. Ooh. So rather than like taking out your compost to your compost bin every day, you can buy, I found mine at a thrift shop, a countertop compost bin. And these have a filter in the lid, so it keeps pests out and it keeps smells in. So, you know, I usually just keep this on my counter. Sometimes I'll even just keep it in my freezer. And once it gets full, then you take it out and dump it in the compost bin. So you don't have to go very far when you're like making soup or whatever. You just toss them in your compost bin, and then maybe once a week or so, then you have to take out the compost to the big bin. Makes things way easier. And then these last 2 are my favorite ones. Life should be lived. So don't deprive yourself of anything, because I truly believe that if we deprive ourselves of the things that we love, you know, strawberries are like my heart and soul. And so sometimes I will buy plastic clamshells of strawberries because I just really want some strawberries, and that's okay. You know, don't deprive yourself, because I really believe that if we do that, then we're not going to want to do this long term. And that's what we really need. There's a great quote that says something along the lines of, we don't need 1,000 people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. So make sure that you're living your life and you're not, I mean, like life should be lived. Don't deprive yourself. If there's something you love, go for it. And then the last one, just practice makes perfect. So be patient with yourself, go slow. It will get easier as you go over time. It really doesn't have to be perfect, just one small thing at a time. And then I just also want to remind everybody that it's so important to remember that nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Just make one small change when you can and where you can. And so maybe right now for you, that looks like switching to a bamboo toothbrush. Maybe that's it. That's great. There's so many plastic toothbrushes thrown out every year. That's a small change, but it's really impactful. So just change the one thing. Once it's become a habit, once it's part of your life, then move on and try something else. Just one change at a time. Because like I said, personal sustainability is just as important as environmental sustainability. And if we try to do everything at once, we're going to become overwhelmed, we're going to get burnt out, and we're probably just going to throw our hands in the air and say, it's not worth it. I'm going to go eat some strawberries. We don't want that, but eat the strawberries. And then I'd like to leave you with my favorite quote. It's pretty amazing that our society has reached a point where the effort necessary to extract oil from the ground, ship it to a refinery, turn it into plastic, shape it appropriately, truck it to a store, buy it and bring it home is considered to be less effort than what it takes to just wash the spoon when you're done with it. And with that, questions. That was a lot. I know that was a lot, and I talk really fast.
Well, Kristen, what are some of your products that you sell online?
Yes. So I talked about some of them, the dryer balls, amazing. The safety razor is also amazing. It's really just this, I mean, it's like what you used to see before plastic razors were a thing. Incredible. Reusable unpaper towels. These are not on my website right now. I'm hoping to get some online this week. They take me a bit to make, but they're like basically towels. They're terry cloth on one side, cotton on the other, and they snap together so you can roll them around a paper towel holder and then just pull them off as you need and then throw them in the wash with the rest of your towels. And then they just are reusable over and over again. So you're not going through so many paper towels. One of my favorites. I also have, I didn't talk about this, but these are called swag bags. And this thread, or this twine is like super tight. So I wasn't able to get it off without cutting it, and my scissors are not around me. But this unrolls and it becomes a bag that's like this big, and it's 100% cotton, and you get it wet and then you like wring out any of the excess water and put your fruits and vegetables in it, and then put the whole bag into your crisper, and it keeps your fruits and vegetables fresh for like weeks and weeks on end. I had a bundle of spinach in mine that was still crisp after 3 weeks. So it's amazing. I have 2 sizes of them. They're wonderful. Bar soaps are some of my favorite swaps. I have like a full line of bar soaps. So this is the dish soap block. So you would just keep this next to your sink and then get your sponge or your cloth or whatever you use to wash your dishes, get that wet, rub it on the bar, and then just wash your dishes as usual. Has a really nice lather, cuts through grease really well. Incredible stuff. But then I also have a shampoo bar to replace plastic bottles of shampoo, conditioner bars, body bars, shave soap bars, and then I have face bars. And then I also have a line of seasonal soaps that I come out with every 3 months that kind of correlate with the season. Right now I have white peach sangria and mint mojito. They're quite lovely. And then I've got the things like the straws and whatnot. And then I also have a full line of like bulk refillable products that are kind of hard to show because it's just like a bunch of jugs in the corner of my apartment. But I have liquid shampoo, conditioner, body wash, hand soap, all-purpose cleaner, body lotion, dog shampoo, laundry detergent, dishwasher pods, like the little pods that you put in your dishwasher. I have a sanitizer spray, tooth powder. It's just a lot of different things that you can just refill over and over again. Can you still see me? Should I like turn my blinds a little bit? I feel like I look like I have a severed head.
I can see your neck really well.
Okay, let me just turn my blinds really quick.
Okay.
Okay. Man, I'm just like a hot mess tonight.
So the different bars, like the shampoo bar and where are they produced? Do you make them or?
So I do not make any of my own products. I source them all from other small businesses, mostly women-owned and locally owned businesses whenever possible. The bar soaps in particular are made right here in Tacoma by a small woman-owned business. So they are custom made for my shop, but I do not make them myself. And they are all vegan and palm oil free as well.
So I bought the charcoal face cleaner from you.
Yeah.
And I really love it. It makes my face feel, it's just different. It's weird because it's black, but it's, it makes me feel really clean. And I want to give you a shout out because I figured, okay, I just ordered this on the website. I'm going to get it in the mail a few days later, whatever it is. She drops it off on my porch with a little handwritten note on the back of a cereal box, scrap paper, and drops it off for me and, the next day. So I know you probably don't do that every time, but I thought, wow, that is a really sweet, nice touch that, save on shipping and all of that. Oh, and then she gave me a credit because she didn't charge me for shipping. So very nice.
Yes. I do. I do free delivery in the area on Tuesdays.
Yeah. I also ordered I also got the safety razor, but I think I got it from Albatross, but that's the same kind you sell. Mm-hmm. But they also, just to let everybody know, they also give you a little kind of little envelope thing that you put the razor blades back in, and then you send them in, and then they, I don't know, repurpose them or somehow recycle them or something like that. So that's a cool thing too. You're not throwing away razor blades. So
yeah, because they are 100% stainless steel, but you don't want to just put them in your curbside recycling because that can be really dangerous for the people working at the recycling plant. So yeah, you can send them back to Albatross and they upcycle them into reusable utensil sets.
I also have tried, it doesn't work for my weird hair, but I have tried a bar shampoo, and for anybody with actually normal hair that's not like mine, I was surprised at how much lather I got from a bar of shampoo. I mean, it was like pouring shampoo out of a bottle into my hand. It was pretty cool. But my hair is just really weird, so it didn't work out. I need a different kind of shampoo. But I would recommend that for somebody with either short or just like normal hair. But yeah, I was surprised by how well that worked. It was pretty cool. And the conditioner as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What other questions you got for me?
I have been wondering for forever, this might be a little bit off topic, but why can't you compost paper towels?
So my understanding is you can compost them in like backyard compost. Mm-hmm. But the Tacoma recycle or compost goes through, I forget the name, but the company that Tacoma uses for their compost service only accepts food scraps and yard waste. So even if like paper or pizza boxes or even backyard compostable, any of that kind of thing, it just the company that Tacoma uses doesn't accept anything that's not food or yard waste.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Gotcha.
And I think it has something to do with like the integrity of the compost, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm guessing they probably get too many browns and not enough greens, so they don't want more of that stuff. But yeah, okay, I understand.
Yep.
Cool, thanks.
The audit, the waste audit form that you have, is that something we can pick up off your website, or how do we get that?
I can send it to you, Robin, if you'd like, and then you could send it out. It's digital, but you just need the link to it, and I
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. I also have the 6 R's PDF that you have. Is that something I can share with people
Yeah.
that are interested here? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm also recording this. So are you okay with us putting it like on our website, have a link to it or
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
like that? The more people that know, the better, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm curious, I'm trying to sort of start a zero waste program at my church.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you have any suggestion. I mean, I was going to start with an audit like you suggested to do at home. But also like just getting everybody on board with what's happening and the changes that they might see. I'm curious if you have any.
Everything froze.
Well, I'll just speak while she's trying to come back on. We have a little recycling center at our church. And although it is kind of frustrating that recycling isn't as effective as it really should be, or as it could be if we were all doing it and if there were companies that would actually recycle the stuff. But it took some time to get people on board, but it started out as just a little, we got a paper waste bin, you know, a recycle bin. And then this was years ago, and then we started doing, you know, the cans that we use when we have meals or something at the church, and we just grew it and grew it. Now everybody's on board. People are waiting for the church to reopen right now so they can get the recycling out of their garage, you know, and it just takes time and kind of education and some mindset changes and explaining why it's important that you don't throw away all 75 of those plastic water bottles and why you don't actually have them to begin with. And I think just talking about it and educating, maybe Mike or Gretchen can talk about that too. They're part of our green team, just what we've learned over the years.
Well, I mean, we've added a lot of things since we started, thanks to Tacoma's recycling program. They accept still any plastic, batteries. We take styrofoam, not the like clamshell containers, but styrofoam packing material, metal, and then we've added other things that people are taking their own responsibility for, like medicine bottles and disposable razors, markers, and as well as actually mascara brushes, which they use for cleaning off animals when they are contaminated with things. So we've gotten a lot of buy-in from lots of folks from our church and have branched out through other people taking the things where they need to go. So it's been pretty nice.
So one of the ways that I would like to see our church actually branch out from recycling is talking more about zero waste, so that you're not just saying, oh, I can recycle it, so I'm just going to buy that plastic clamshell thing, you know. But it is all about education and mindset. So, and I think the audit will make us think even more carefully about what we have and what we're throwing away. And I know once you start realizing how much plastic you are taking to the church to recycle, you are shocked, you know, how much you really have. And it's hard to get away from it when you're shopping. So we've been chatting.
Okay, I'm here. I'm so sorry. Okay, so the last I heard was Marie saying that she wanted to start a zero waste effort at her church, and she was thinking about starting with a waste audit, and then everything cut off.
We talked a little bit about the recycling center that we have at our church, which, as you have pointed out, is not as efficient and as effective as we'd like it to be. But talking about how that mindset took some time, and just intentional thinking, and educating people about purchases and things like that. But but also that we would like to get more to the zero waste side of that, rather than just the recycling side of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're not used to recycling, then yeah, I mean, that's a really great first step, and just kind of starting that behavior change can definitely lead to more. So definitely.
Robin, did you talk about the mugs? Because that is one way that we've kind of done zero waste.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but that was a big changeover for us. Gretchen, you want to just talk about that?
Well, we just basically decided we didn't want to use any reusable paper products or styrofoam cups or plastic cups at church. So people brought mugs, and people found mugs at the Goodwill and wherever, and we've got 150 mugs that are hanging in the kitchen and easily accessible. And so when people put out coffee, they put it out with mugs. That's kind of where we started the zero waste, and we definitely need to do more. But that was a great starting point and a pretty easy entry point, because mugs are easy to come by.
Yes. Awesome.
We have a mug advertising just about anything you can imagine, but there's those freebies that somebody got, and we'll take them, so.
Yeah.
And we also do a sheltering ministry during the winter, where we have up to sometimes 90 some people, and they're all drinking coffee like crazy. And so they all use a mug, and it's good that we're not throwing away the unrecyclable paper and styrofoam and things like that.
Yeah. Yay. That's wonderful. I mean, that adds up so fast. So fast. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Well, I've noticed with this time of instead of dining out, taking out and bringing home, I've really been aware of the places that use styrofoam or that use paper. And but I really like your suggestion to tell them not to throw in the plastic silverware, because they always do, and so we have to start saying just hold off on the plastic silverware. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing that I always try to emphasize is, there are so many times that I've said, water with no straw, please, but then I still get a straw. Because it's just habit, right? It's going back to that habit piece. But I think it's so important to remember that even though that might happen sometimes, it's still important to ask and to vocalize that request, because eventually it will sink in, and that's how change starts to happen. There was one time I was sitting at a restaurant, and I went out with a bunch of friends, and we all we sat down. Before our server even said hi, she came and brought us all glasses of water with straws in them. And I was like, well, we didn't need the waters or the straws, so that was just a whole bunch of wasted resources. And so then I made sure that every time I went back to that restaurant in the future, I always asked for no straw right off the bat, even the host, because I knew that was what they did. And then there was one time I went and I said, I'd like a water with no straw. And the server goes, well, we don't have, okay. And she walks away, and, she comes back a little bit later with glasses of water with no straws. And I was like, why was she being so we don't have straws? Because I know that they did. And I looked around, and something had changed in the time between when I was there and the time before then. And they had gotten rid of all of their straws. There was one or two cocktails I saw that had straws in them, but every other glass in that restaurant was strawless. And I'm not naive to think that it was only me asking for no straw, but I believe that there were enough people asking for that they eventually made that change. So it's, even if sometimes you get those straws, it's important to still continue asking for no straw. What else you got for me? Anything?
I wanted to ask Marie what, like, are you part of a large church, or what, is it just your interest, or do you think other people at your church are interested in that kind of thing, or what made you want to do it at your church?
Well, I'm very zero waste oriented, and I'm trying to sort of turn my career in that direction, so to speak. But right now I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm looking for volunteer projects where I can get some, hands-on experience and sort of start working towards zero waste stuff, because I love it. And no, it's not a very big church, but I suggested it to some of the leaders and they were open to letting me sort of run with it however far I could get. And so I'm just trying to make, every change that I can one step at a time.
And that passion is contagious too. So make sure, remember that. Remember that. It really is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Well, Robin, is there anything else that you have or anything to add?
I think that's all I can think of at the moment. If no one else has any questions, I want to really thank Krystina. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. We had to reschedule it a little bit because, COVID and all that. But I'm glad that we have tried the Zoom thing, and I think it's worked okay. I hope you all have. It's not the same, but it is okay, right? We're
It's
good.
okay. Yes.
Well,
and I'm glad you're here.
Robin, shout out to Krystina and Robin for making it happen and for jumping to Zoom, and Krystina for being our first Zoom guest.
Yeah.
And helping us figure out how to do it. So great job to both of you.
Yeah, I now that you say that, I thought I had you on Spotlight view, but that didn't work out, I guess. So I don't know now that I think of it. But
it's probably when my internet kicked me off.
That could be.
Everything up.
I'm gonna try it really quick.
Ooh, I'm spotlighted.
Yes.
So that's what Spotlight View looks like. That's what I meant to do before. Anyway, thank you so much for being our, kind of guinea pig. I want to remind everybody to go to our webpage on our website. The easiest way to donate for tonight's free will offering. It is optional, but it's always nice to be able to support an organization of our speaker's choice, and usually a nonprofit or charitable organization. She's requesting our offerings to go to Vermilion Sea Institute. And if you go to our website, fccpuyallup.com/donate, one of the choices on there will be to donate to a speaker series. And that money will go to the Vermilion Sea Institute. So, and if that doesn't work out for you, you can let me know and we'll make it happen some other way. But thank you so much, Krystina. If there's nothing else, then I will say goodnight and thank you very much. And I hope to see you again. I look forward to your pop-up shop whenever you get back into the pop-up business. And
whenever that may be.
And I know Krystina's going to take a few days off for the next week, and I know she's excited. She's doing some self-care, so enjoy your time off.
Thank you.
See you soon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.